As soon as I achieved lucidity, I started to make things come to me, like power of the Jedi experience. And then I flew out and I immediately went to this energy planet where I had a whole experience. My most meaningful lucid dream from the program would have to be when I set my intention really clearly to do two things. We were talking in the class about how we could do some things that were fun, and for me, I wanted to actually attract things to me using mystic powers. So in my mind, I'm saying I'm going to use my powers. I'm going to make things come to me, and then after that, I want to fly around. And when I got going that evening, as soon as I achieved lucidity, I started to make things come to me, like power of the Jedi experience. And then I flew out and I immediately went to this energy planet where I had a whole experience that was really fun, interesting, and also made me believe that I'd been there before. And in further thoughts about this dream, I do think it was a recurring dream and a theme that I'm going to keep very close to me. In describing my first lucid dream in one sentence, I would say it was full of intention and full of passion, which very deliberately led to my experience. In terms of what I thought lucid dreaming was before and what I now understand it to be, there's a pretty big jump. I didn't understand how there was such a long history of ancient tradition that went back even to the Greeks and really a lot of these other cultures that were experimenting or really fully ritualizing lucid dreaming practice in so many different ways. So I had the concept that this was something relatively new and we'd been on to this, but it was interesting to see how Anthony tied this all back to these different, and I think multiple different ancient cultures who were practicing lucid dreaming, dream recall, and all of the same techniques that we were then learning in the class. So that was really fun. I think it gave me a sense of purpose and like we're following in the footsteps of some really awesome practitioners and mystic legendary awesomeness. So, in terms of what's the difference in my everyday life with this practice, I could definitely say it's helping me look around myself and recognize repeating patterns. And especially a lot of what triggers my lucidity are feelings of discomfort or sort of this awareness that something is not right. It makes me feel a certain way. And therefore, I should be truly questioning whether or not what I see around me is reality as I expect or if it is a dream. So in my everyday life now, reality checks are something I try to do all the time, and I'm building a consistent list of different techniques, practices, and signs that are really triggering me to think about whether or not it's reality or it is a dream. And I try to deliberately really think about whether or not that's true, not just asking the question to ask it, but making me more aware and present in my daily life for sure. I would say what surprised me most about the experience was the impact of intention and community within our group that really helped encourage better practice and also I think led to really specific outcomes for me. It holds you accountable. So when we're coming together every week, it was really giving me good habits to practice by and holding me accountable so that I was getting them into habits, not just doing them. And then it was just interesting to see how this sort of emotional, I think, connection with everybody wanting to have this outcome encouraged me to have success. And I think the third piece too is that hearing from everybody's experiences on what they're trying was a great way for me to incorporate new practices. And I think actually led to some new behaviors and breakthroughs that I had along the way for sure. If there was a moment in the program when I felt that something really clicked, I feel it came after the introduction of mild, as we started to then incorporate these ideas of the dream signs and the reality checks all into one. For me, it's truly about being consistent and it's having these practices you can go back to and your playbook of what you can try over and over again. But it's giving you these tools where it's mild is the approach you can take that's highly successful. The reality checks are like your different tool in the box that you can use to try to understand if you're dreaming. And then these sort of dream signs that allow you to recognize whether or not you're actually in the dream. So putting those all together, and once we had them in our full tool belt, was really important for me. And I immediately saw a lucidity experience after those came together. So that was great.